Chuck Allred here, and welcome to the step-by-step tutorial for how to play my arrangement of For the Damaged Coda by Blonde Redhead. We're going to get right to the tutorial. The only thing that I think I'd like to say about playing this arrangement is this arrangement was made pretty much to strictly copy the feel and the mood of the original song by Blonde Redhead. So sometimes with arrangements, especially for a single instrument or a different group of instruments than was used to play the original piece, you can do kind of some different things or kind of reimagine the piece and do a lot of things like that that can be quite different than the original song, and that's good and well. There's definitely a time and place to experiment with those things. But when I made this arrangement, I really just wanted to pretty much copy everything about the song. I wanted to copy the tempo. I wanted to copy the mood it creates. And even though you're going to be changing things because the instrumentation is very different, I didn't want to change anything about the music, really. And all of the decisions were made based around that. That mindset is what helped me make the arrangement. So I just mentioned that to say that if you want to play this arrangement, I'm very happy that you want to play it. And I would be very, very in touch with the original song. I would listen to it a lot. I would memorize it. And the mood that it brings to you, I would try and absorb that mood so that it just comes out of you when you play. You have to think of it, but then once you can think of it and feel it, it's just totally automatic. That'll influence your tempo, it'll influence your sound choices, and it'll lead you to find sounds that you wouldn't have found otherwise. So aside from learning the notes and the moves and practicing them, I think that's the most important thing about learning this arrangement, is get as in touch with the original song as you possibly can, really. And that'll help you more than anything else that I can think of, along with a lot of practice and all that good stuff. So let's review our terminology, and then we'll get started. So for plucking hand, I'll say right hand, and then I use the classical guitar terminology for the fingers. So we have P for thumb, I for index, M for middle, and A for ring finger. And I tend to say just pinky for pinky. I've seen it as C and I've seen it as E, but I just say pinky. I didn't use pinky when I recorded this arrangement, but when I play it now, I do use pinky, and I'll explain why. For fretboard hand, I'm going to say left hand. So we have first finger, second finger, third finger, and fourth finger. And then don't forget your string numbers of the guitar. I always mention this because if you get it backwards, it's going to be very confusing. So this is the first string. Remember the lowest number, string number 1 is going to be your first string, your highest pitch, right? Second string is the B. Third string is the G. Fourth string is the D. Fifth string is A, and then sixth string is E again. All right, so thank you for watching this video. I hope it helps, and let's get right to the tutorial. Alright, so let's begin with the introduction. We're going to start with this chord. It is, let's see, we have a D flat here on the 5th string, 4th fret with 2. We have a G on the 4th string, 5th fret with 4. And we have a B flat on the 3rd string, 3rd fret with 1. So that's our chord. with the right hand, we're going to do P, M, I, M, and repeat that pattern. P, M, I, M. Of course, you could do P, I, A, I. Really, whatever you like. But I would find my big, kind of dark, full sound here. However you can get that. Even that might be an option. Anyway, whatever gets you your kind of dark, moody sound that sets the mood for this piece. So after that chord, we're going to move to this chord. We have a C in the bass, 5th string, 3rd fret with 3. We have not that. We have an F natural here on the 4th string, 3rd fret with 4, and then we have an A flat, 3rd string, 1st fret with 1. But I would fret this chord so that I would go ahead and catch this E flat on the 4th string. So instead of the first finger only fretting the A flat, I would do a little mini bar and I would catch this E flat on the 4th string, 1st fret, so that we can play this passage. And when it comes time, we just relax 4 and we have that nice E flat there that we can get. Okay, the next chord is going to be this chord. It's a little bit of a stretch, but not too big of a deal. So we have this D in the bass on the 5th string, 5th fret with 4. Then we have an F natural, 4th string, 3rd fret with 2, and the same A flat on the 3rd string, 1st fret with 1. Yeah, I would probably fret it that way. You could also play the D open. But I really wanted these notes to ring into each other, just like all the other notes. So I chose to, do the extra grunt work. So that these notes could also ring into each other very nicely. So we play that figure twice, P, M, I, M, P, M, I, M. Then we do D, open B on the 2nd string, open, and then the A flat. Okay, and we're about to feel like we're about to move somewhere. From there, we catch a 2-note chord briefly. So it's an open G, open 3rd string, and a C, 2nd string, 1st fret with 1. And the figure goes like this. And we're actually kind of cheating. We're using the G as the bass note and part of the kind of the inner voice. You could do something like this if you wanted. You could do a low G, but it changed the sound to me, so I didn't like that. Or you could do something like this. That's kind of a neat option. Maybe I should have done that. So I just fretted the G here on the 4th string, 5th fret, so that could kind of ring as its own. And then play the open G. But anyway, on the recording, it's like this. And then you jump to this chord. Oops, not that chord. That chord. So we have D flat, we have F, and B flat. With fingers 4, 2, and 3. After this chord, jump to this chord, go to a C here, 5th string, 3rd fret. First finger goes to the A flat, 3rd string, 1st fret, and then we have this F here, 4th string, 3rd fret. I remember doing this a lot. Oops. You can use this passage or a passage like this to try and get your squeaking under control, so you don't get a big squeak in between them. Remember to relax off the previous chord before you go to the next one. That might help your squeaking. And what's the next chord? So from here, I'm going to use my 3rd finger as a guide and go up the 5th string to the D on the 5th fret to find this new chord where we have a D here, open G on the 3rd string, and then an F on the 4th string, 3rd fret with 1st finger. And this figure is going to go like this. We play the D in the bass, and then the top goes G, F, G, open, D on the 4th string. And I play that open D with my thumb, because it's going to do this. D, E flat. Okay, this chord we have E flat, A flat, C. Is that right? And it's all with the 1st finger bar. Same pattern in the right hand. And then we're going to come down to this chord, D in the bass on the 5th string again with 3. And then we're going to catch a little mini bar and do B flat on the 3rd string, 3rd fret, F on the 4th string, 3rd fret. Just one P, M, I, M pattern, and then the D, and then we move both of these upper notes in our little cadential figure that we have here. So the 2nd finger plays the B on the 3rd string, 4th fret. The 4th finger plays the G on the 4th string, 5th fret. And then after that's all done, I definitely would use, or at least experiment with, some vibrato. Not a crazy amount, but just something to finish that introduction and make it a little bit moody, just a little bit. And we slow down a little bit there. Okay, so backing up a little bit, let's see. That's our introduction. So now it's kind of like you start the piece in a way. You get to the meat of what this song is about. So now we go to kind of the main section of the piece, and most likely the most memorable section for you. I'm going to show this passage as, one figure on the guitar in terms of a step-by-step process of how to play it. But do keep in mind that this is a 2-voice passage, meaning that we have 2 different parts. Of course, you already know how this part goes. So that's there, obviously, and is most important. But don't forget about the bottom voice. would study them both independently for sure, and then put them together. But for time's sake, let's look at how both of these voices work together on the guitar. So we start with 2 notes in our bottom voice. We have a low C, 6th string, 8th fret rather, with 1st finger. And then it goes to, what is this? Is that a G? Yeah. This G on the 5th string, 10th fret with 3rd finger. After that, our first melody note comes in. It's a high C on the 1st fret, on the 1st string rather, on the 8th fret, and I'm gonna catch this C with my bar finger. So I'm using this part of my finger, so I don't have to let go of the low C. It can all ring. So you can fret that C, the first melody note, with the fatty part of your finger there as the melody comes in. So after that C, the melody goes to a B flat, 2nd string, 11th fret with 4. The bass note moves to a D on the 6th string, 10th fret with 2. After that, we move to octave A flats. We have an A flat here in the melody, 2nd string, 9th fret with 1st finger, and in the bass we have an A flat, 5th string, 11th fret with 3rd finger. After that, our melody goes to a G, 3rd string, 12th fret with 4, and the bass note is an E flat on the 11th fret of the 6th string with 3. Okay, after that, both notes jump, so the melody goes up a step back to A flat on the 2nd string, 9th fret with 1. The bass moves to a C here on the 4th string, 10th fret with 2. And after this move, we have this move. So the 4th finger plays a G again here on the 3rd string, 12th fret. The 1st finger has to shoot out and catch this low B natural now on the 6th string, 7th fret. And then again, that's 1st finger. After that, your 4th finger can kind of slide down to this, what note is that? Is that an F natural? Yeah, this F natural. Slide down 2 frets to the 10th fret on the 3rd string with 4. And the bass is going to jump up an octave to this B on the 4th string, 9th fret with 3. And then the last melody note is this E flat on the 3rd string, 8th fret with 2. And now it starts over. So the only thing to keep in mind here is it's going to feel slightly different than when we started it, because you've got your 2nd finger on that E flat, and you don't need to hold it forever, but I would let it ring into the bass line starting up again just for a second, just so you don't get so the melody sounds like it settled really nice, into the place where it was going the whole time. hand here, I'm going to play all the bass notes with my thumb, even though it has to jump around, to try and kind of keep the same tone consistency. And for the melody, I think I'm mostly using I and M. I started with A, just because it's first string, that's where my A finger is probably going to be resting. After that, I pretty much, if the melody is on the second string, I'm going to use M. If it's on the third string, I'm going to use I. And if I have to alternate, then I'm going to go between I and M. This is one of those things where I'm just telling you the way that I play it. What you really need to do is find your own fingering. So you can try that. You could really use the same finger if you want. I mean, this isn't a fast passage, so... Oops, gross. You could do like all P and I if you want, or all P and M. So that time it's just I played every note with the same finger. You can do that if you want, but find the most natural and the easiest fingering. This is a tricky passage, so if you're trying to learn this passage, I would just play it over and over again. This is what I did. I started playing it very slowly, just to try and remember all the moves. And getting the moves exactly right is so much more important than playing it at the speed that you will eventually want to play it at. So be sure you know what move comes next. And hold the position that you're in all the way until the very last split second, and then move, right? Try not to get caught in the air between movements, because that's going to interrupt this track you're trying to build in your brain. So hold the position until you know exactly where you're going, and then go there. And then go there. And be sure you're hearing both voices. They're two independent voices. Be sure you're showing the benefit of a structure like that. Okay, so we play that 2 times. And then we have this little interrupting figure before we get back to this part. So for this, all I'm doing is fretting a big C minor chord, bar chord on the 8th fret. So there's no first string, but I'm doing barring the 6th string and the 3rd and the 2nd strings on the 8th fret, and then I'm fretting the 10th fret on the 4th and 5th strings. That's a C and a G. So find this lovely bar chord, and the rhythm here, we're going to play thumb, and I already have my A and M fingers on strings 2 and 3. So I'm going to go thumb, A and M together, and then I on the 4th string. Then I'm going to go P, I, M, P. So again, that's... Now I'm going to go back to 2nd and 3rd strings with A and M, and then I, and then P, I, M, P, A, M. So that whole thing together kind of slow is... And then we're going to actually finish the figure down here. So use the tab and the sheet music to try and get the rhythm, and then listen. To try and get the rhythm and imitate it. last note of that figure is going to be this C on the 3rd string, but we're going to shift before we actually get to the next passage. So we can just come right into this A flat major chord. So this chord is just a major bar chord on the 4th fret. So I've got 4 with the 1st finger here, and then I'm going to bar strings 1 and 2 on the 4th fret. Then I've got this E flat and A flat on the 5th and 4th strings with fingers 3 and 4. And then I've got this C, which I've already had down on the 3rd string. How does it go? And now the right hand pattern is going to be P, I, M, P on strings. We have P and I and M set up on strings 6, 5, and 4. And then we're going to catch A and M this time on strings 1 and 2. Is that how it goes? Finish the chord before we shift. Sorry. So we do this figure, and then we finish with this C with the index finger on the 3rd string. Then we're immediately going to shift our bar chord down. Same shape. Now we're going to go to G major. So shift everything down 1 fret, and we're going to play this. Identical P, I, M, P, and then A, M on strings 1 and 2. And then we're going to end that with an open B, an open 2nd string, which is going to give us a minute to shift and get this arpeggio. And let me go over this arpeggio and then I'll play the whole thing slowly. I hope it'll make sense. So with it, we have this, and now fret this chord all at once. We have on the 5th string 2nd fret this B natural with 2nd finger. We have this F on the 4th string 3rd fret with 3rd finger. We have open 3rd string G. We have 2nd string 3rd fret D with 4th finger. And we have a high F, 1st string, 1st fret. Once we have this chord fretted, I'm going to plant my I, M, and A fingers. I on 3, M on 2, A on 1. And thumb's going to roll through strings 5 and 4. Go up the arpeggio and then come back down. So it's P, P, I, M, A, M, I. P, P, I, M, A, M, I, M. And just like before, we're going to finish a passage in a different position. So we can go right in to the next passage. We're going to finish this arpeggio with this E flat on the 3rd string. Every time there's an E flat, I want to say it's an E splat. So you can call it an E splat if you want. But we're going to finish this arpeggio on this E splat on the 3rd string, 8th fret with 2nd finger. So practice this figure almost like you're playing it here, or something where it might be actually a little bit more natural, but because of the way that the piece goes, we need that extra time. So we can be right up here and start that gorgeous melody part again. Okay, let me play all that kind of slow, and I hope it'll make sense. So, from this part, okay, we come from here. Shift. Open string. And on the open string, shift back. And we start this again. And we do the exact same thing again. We're going to play that nice melody passage. Then we're going to do that interrupting figure. And I'll go ahead and say there's a lot of different things that I feel like I could have done in this arrangement with these chords. And I picked the one I like the best and the one that sounded like the piece the most to me. But if you're playing around with these chord tones and you want to do something different, then do something different. I mean, if you're playing the same chord, but you feel more compelled to voice it differently, then go for it. I mean, why not? Those are just the voices that I chose. So the last time that we play this melodic section, we're going to play it almost the exact same, but a little different at the end. And right here, instead of finishing it in this position, we're going to do this, because that sets us up for the next passage that we're going to play. The sound's going to change, right? This is a dark position up here, which I chose specifically for that part. Now as we go down here, the sound's going to brighten up, and we're going to play this whole next passage down in this low position. And I just thought I would transition right into it, even if it is a bit abrupt. So when we make that shift, freeze right here. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to relax this first, and then we're going to move our arm, and we're going to catch this chord. We have a B natural in the bass, 5th string, 2nd fret. We have a G up top on the 1st string, 3rd fret, with 4th finger. And then instead of doing this in the bass like we have been doing, we're just going to play 2 Bs in a row. Really just for simplicity's sake. It made it easier. And the melody's going to go G, F natural, 1st string, 1st fret, which I'm going to do with the half bar thing. I'm going to catch it right here because it's convenient. And then end with the E flat on the 2nd string, 4th fret with 4th finger. And now we've already begun to start this passage. And this just repeats several times in a row. So once you get it down, you can just run it and you should be in good shape. So let's go over the notes. Where am I? Again, a 2-voice structure. It's different than before, but we've maintained the 2 voices. We're going to start with octave C's. So 5th string, 3rd fret with 3, a high C, 2nd string, 1st fret with 1. Do 1 low C, because we got quarter notes in the bass, and we're going to do 8th notes, 2 high C's with melody here on top. And I use MI for all this. M-I, 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 M-I the whole time. So 2 C's. Then we're going to move to this 3rd string open, G with thumb, and then this D with 4th finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. And that melody note is immediately going to slide up to the E splat. 1 fret. Okay, after that, this was the fingering that helped me the best. Again, excuse me. You can, go over fingerings and choose the ones that you like the best. This was the one that made it sound most connected for me. So in the melody, I'm going to play this F on the 1st string, 1st fret with 3. The thumb plays an open D on the open 4th string. We have 2 Fs. And I like this because then you can just shift the melody up 2 frets to the G on the 1st string. When you play the G, the bass with the thumb is going to play the 3rd string, 1st fret with 1. Oops. So make this nice shift with this in mind. That's really what I had to make sure I was keeping in mind, because I kept getting a crappy sound in the bass line. And that's why I chose this fingering, because it helped me do that the best. So see if it works for you. You can use it or come up with a better one. So we have this G, and then the last melody note of this line is the E flat on the 2nd string, 4th fret with 4th finger. Okay, now we have the same melody, but the bass line changes, okay? So we're going to have the same notes as before. This time in the bass we have an E flat and a C. E flat's on the 4th string, 1st fret with the bar. C's on the 2nd string, 1st fret with the bar. 2 C's. Then the D to E flat, this is nice and easy. With the open G in the bass. Now, in the bass we have a B natural, 5th string, 2nd fret with 2nd finger. And we have our F here in the melody. And I catch this F. It looks like I'm kind of barring. I'm not really. It's just my finger was there, so I'm just fretting that F there on the 1st finger. It felt easier to do this than this when I was working this piece. So feel free to take advantage of that if it helps you out. After this, our thumb goes to an open 2nd string, open B. And then we have these last 2 melody notes, same as before, G and E flat. You'll notice that you actually cut off the bass line, because when you play this note, that's on the same string, so it cuts off the bass line. However, your guitar very well may cover that. Mine certainly does. I can still hear it ringing. I don't know if you can hear it on the through the microphone and all that, but you get sympathetic vibrations from these other strings that you're not doing anything with. I don't know if you can hear it. I hope you can. I hope it's coming through. So don't worry about cutting that note off. You're probably not. I shouldn't have mentioned it, but these are the things that I like to think about. And I thought that was a good fingering choice because it made it easier. And it didn't cut a line short before I was ready. that's enough to say about that passage, as far as how to play it. And then you just put it on a loop and you play it several times through. I would be very careful when I'm playing this passage and when I'm practicing it to not speed up when you play it. I only mention that because that's what happened to me. Once I got out of this part, I found myself... Oops, I didn't do the shift I talked about. Wanting to be a little bit happier with this and like speeding it up. And I don't think it sounds the best that way. I want to keep the tempo the exact same. So get out your metronome or whatever rhythmic device you like to practice with, and make sure it's very rhythmic. The tempo is the same. I think that's real important for this whole arrangement, is to not change the tempo ever. I don't think. I think the only time I got out of tempo was, I think I slowed down at the very, very end, right before the last chord. And maybe like at the end of the introduction. But when you're playing a passage, the song is very rhythmic, the whole way through. It's slow and dreary, but it's almost completely rhythmic all the way through. So just to say, that may be a pitfall, especially if you start to get this. If you're struggling with it and then it starts to come together, you may get excited and you may want to start running away with it and think, oh, finally I can play it. Thank God. But be sure that you just plod along with the tempo. So just practice with the metronome, or you could practice with the song, the Blonde Redhead song. Listening to it and playing along, that would be just as well. So this next passage is kind of interesting to play. It takes a very simple line and it complicates it quite a bit on the guitar. So here's how this works. I couldn't think of anything interesting. I didn't want to add anything for this section. And pretty much you just have this line going on. There's nothing else going on. So I started messing around and I came up with doing these kind of stupid stretches so that the notes could kind of drone into each other. And it suddenly sounded much thicker and like interesting, like it actually had a place in the piece. Once I heard it that way, I had to keep it that way, even though it's really difficult for me to play. If you have long fingers, it won't be a big deal. You'll just have to make sure that you don't cut off any ringing strings, that you don't want to cut off prematurely. If you have shorter fingers like I do, just work this for a while. I had to work it for a while. But it's a great exercise for stretching on the guitar. And also, I'm pretty sure, probably in most of the music that you play, you won't need anything more than this. The same note on two different strings. So if you can develop that, I only had that in one piece, is a Roland Dien's piece. Something like that. And those were E's. So that'll help you a lot. Hopefully you won't have to go further than that. So consider this, if it's difficult for you, consider it, building new technique for your hand, that will definitely come in handy again. Even if you don't do this in a different piece, it will make like regular chords much easier. And maybe if you had like a slight struggle in something like a C major chord, which is like easy, I guess. But it's for my hand, it was just weird. It's a weird shape. So something like that, where it's just like maybe you're actually just barely getting it. It'll help make those easier shapes more comfortable. Okay, let me stop talking and explain this passage. So we start with 2 C's. The first one is on the 5th string, 3rd fret with first finger, and then we're going to catch the 2nd C on the 6th string, 8th fret with 4. Then we're going to play an open D on the 4th string, open. Then we're going to let that bleed nicely. Hopefully these 3 can bleed nicely as we play this E flat on the 5th string on the 6th fret with 3. And then as we play this E flat, we're already thinking ahead with first finger. It's going to do another one of these stretches. It's going to hit the F on the 4th string, 3rd fret. We're going to play another F on the 5th string, 8th fret with 4. Then we're going to play an open G, open 3rd string. Oops. And end it back on this E flat. And then we start over. So don't forget, in this whole arrangement really, don't forget the moves when you start a phrase over. If you practice a phrase and you only practice going through it from beginning to end, remember there's a move from the end of that phrase back to when it starts. I hope that makes sense. Otherwise you'll get tripped up. It's like maybe you can play the phrase nicely, but if you don't make sure you include the move to start over again, you might be messing up and you're not sure why. Because as far as you know, you're like, I can play this, what's going on? Be sure there's like an extra move in there at the end to get back to the beginning. So as we finish the phrase, the first finger is already thinking about going back to this C, and then later on it's going to go to a different note. So take this slow. With the right hand, I couldn't think of anything creative, so I just used thumb for all of it. It simplified it. I could get the drony sound that I wanted, and I got enough to think about here, so I didn't want to come up with some complicated finger pattern for the right hand. So I'd keep it all thumb, keep it simple. Just loop this. Practice holding each note as long as you can. Oops. Try and hold each finger until you have to move it, because you don't want to play this unless you can really get the benefit of all the notes ringing over. Otherwise, oh man, save yourself the effort. Don't even worry about it. But if you're going to go through all this effort, let's see how like drony and muddy and weird we can make it. So after we play that through 4 times, the first finger is going to go up to this C on the 3rd string, 5th fret with 1. And we're going to do the same thing, just up an octave, but the fingering's a little bit different because of the tunings of the guitar. Now we're going to incorporate the 3rd string. So we have a C here, another C on the 4th string, 10th fret with 4. Then I do this. I don't do a cross string thing here because I don't know why. I guess I couldn't figure it out. Oops. So after the 2 C's, we play a D and then an E flat on the 3rd string, 7th fret, and then 8th fret with fingers 2 and 3. C, C, G, E flat, go to this F. Oh, do it again. I'm thinking too much. I'm stretching too far. And if you can do this, when you get to this one, it'll be like, oh, yeah, no problem. So this is an F on the 2nd string, 6th fret. Then we have an F on the 3rd string, 10th fret. And then that's going to end with a G. Is that a G? Yeah, G on the 2nd string, 8th fret with 3. And we're going to end on the E splat, 3rd string, 8th fret with 2. Stretchy, it's a little different. This, when you have 4 here and you're trying to go to 3, that felt new. And again, practice them slow so they bleed into each other as much as they can. And we're going to play that 4 times, and then we're going to end with harmonics. Again, trying to keep the line the same, not change it, but use the guitar to make it sound interesting and like it should be that way. So after we play this 4 times, we're going to shift down here and play these final melody notes in harmonics. So our fretted notes are on the 2nd string, starting with 1st fret with 1st finger. It's C, C, D, E flat, 3, 4, F, F, G, E flat. 1, 1, 3, 4. Okay, that's what we're fretting. But we're going to play them in harmonics. So what that means is I'm going to fret it here. I'm going to count up 12 frets from where I'm fretting. I'm going to touch that fret, the string, right above that fret with my I finger. And then I'm going to pluck the string right behind it with my A finger. Or you could use pinky. Pinky, that's pinky. You could use M too. You could use P. You could use any finger. But these are called artificial harmonics. If you don't know what they are, I made a tutorial on an arrangement, an Animal Crossing arrangement called 1 AM that uses a lot of artificial harmonics. So you might want to look at that because I start out by explaining how to do artificial harmonics. So if this is a new technique to you, maybe check out that video. Oops, gross. There it is. And these are all just artificial harmonics. Slow down at the end, and I put some a little bit of vibrato in the very last one. Kind of draw it out. And these days, I like to use pinky for my artificial harmonics because it seems to be the further away you get from index finger, like the more resonant the harmonic sound is. So pinky's furthest away. The problem with that is your pinky's going to be like weak, and it's not used to doing that, probably, unless you're an unusual handed person. So I've been practicing a lot with pinky because for a couple of reasons. You know, one is that if it's the furthest away, it's going to make the best sounding harmonics. So if I can just get it into shape, then it should be able to do a very good job. 2 is that I really don't use my pinky for anything plucking. So that means I can do my nail shape on the pinky like exclusively for the artificial harmonic sound. And I don't know what that is right now. I'm trying to figure it out. But either, something to make it sound really warm and rich, or like bright and like really kind of a nice pingy sound. Actually, I did that nail really short, so it's not really there at the moment. So I guess I didn't really need to mention that, but just if you are going to experiment with artificial harmonics, see what you can do with your pinky. And if you first try and use it and you're just like, oh man, I can't hit the string, I can't do anything with it, don't give up. Give it another shot. Work with it for a while, because you could probably come up with like a really good use for it. So we're going to play that passage 4 times. We're going to end. Hold this out for as long as you want, and then we're going to end on this chord. Something like that. So here's how this little effect works. We're going to fret that C minor bar chord on the 8th fret. So I'm barring the 8th fret with 6, 3, 2, and 1, and then fretting fingers 3 and 4 on the 10th fret on the 5th and 4th strings. So fret this full chord. Now we're going to do like a sweep thing with the harmonics. So find your high C harmonic. If you're playing a kind of standard nylon string guitar like I am, it's going to be just out of reach. It's just going to be just past your fingerboard this way. My last fret is a B, is going to be just above that, because of course you can keep fretting harmonics where there are no frets, because it makes no difference. But just visually speaking, that's where you're going to start, and we're just going to drag this right hand shape across all 6 strings using our arm. So I can't really see my arm, but my arm's just doing this. So for this technique, I'm not doing any wrist or anything. Just gonna make the physical shape and drag the arm. And then a couple things to keep in mind. If you're gonna practice this technique, remember the index finger has to touch the string before the harmonic is plucked. If it's the other way around, you're not going to get harmonics. You're going to get notes that you don't want to get here. So angle it such so that, really it's like simultaneous, but angle it such so that this string is going to drag across. This finger rather is going to drag across the strings before the A finger behind it. Okay, and there's really no plucking involved here. I don't think. Not the way that I do it. Usually, if I do artificial harmonic, I'll pluck it with A. Here, I just find the position, move the arm. It doesn't really feel like I'm plucking at all. The other thing about it, I think that's important is, I think you want to end on that last one. If you don't hit the last one, I don't think it makes sense. So be sure you hit that last string, that last C, and then you're gonna get these ringing. These two are not really gonna ring. You'll get some overtones, but I don't know how to do. I didn't want to do something like that. I just wanted to be. You do see this technique in classical guitar. People do it. It's really cool. I love it. If I want to freak my wife out, I do this. What is it? And she politely asked me to stop doing that. But it's a very cool technique. you're creative, you can easily find spots to use that technique. So I wanted to use it here because, I know it's not in the actual song, but I just wanted to say something that said the arrangement is over. I didn't want to do something like fancy and weird, I don't know. I didn't want to do. I mean, I just wanted to in the song, so we get the same harmony that we know that the piece is in, and just a nice little effect. That's all. Also, be sure that your bar is very strong. If you're buzzing any notes, the harmonics are not going to ring. And I don't think you want to doink. I think you just want it to ring. And hold it strong. If you don't hold it strong till the end, you're going to get some weird buzzes and sounds. So hold it strong. Keep the pressure. 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 Not letting up at all. And then when you're done. Yeah, that's like really important. And that's the whole arrangement. So that concludes the tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. I hope I helped you figure out how to play the piece and give you some ideas to solve any sections that you may be having trouble with. Best of luck in playing the piece. I hope you play it and play the heck out of it. And please make your own YouTube video. I'd love to see other people's interpretation of this arrangement. I think that would be just fantastic. If you need any additional help with this piece, I do offer video lessons on my website, www.charlesalexanderallred.com, and that's listed in the information below. So the prices are very cheap, and I'd be happy to help you with this piece and help you with whatever specific difficulties you may have encountered. Everybody's different, and everyone has different struggles on the guitar. When you're trying to learn something. So best of luck. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.